Imagine you're on Guadalcanal, and the jungle feels like it has eyes. Not the movie jungle, the real one. Wet heat, bugs that never clock out, and trees so wide you could park a truck behind them. Your unit is trying to move supplies through coconut groves near a place called Point Cruz, and every time someone stands up a little too tall, a shot comes from nowhere. No warning, no enemy you can see. Just the hard truth afterward. Someone isn't coming back. In the span of about 3 days, those hidden shooters take 14 American soldiers. 14. That number spreads through a battalion like a fever. Men stop joking. Men stop wandering off the trail. Men start staring up into branches that look empty. And the worst part is the feeling that you're losing a fight you can't even start because you don't know where to aim. Now here's where the story twists. The one guy who thinks he can fix it is the guy everyone's been clowning for weeks. Second Lieutenant John George is 27, a National Guard officer from Illinois, and he's carrying something that looks almost disrespectful next to Army-issued rifles. While everyone else has an M1 Garand, he's got a civilian bolt-action Winchester Model 70 with a small hunting scope. A mail-order setup, 5 rounds at a time. Slow follow-up shots, not standard, not serious. The officers around him have nicknames for it. They call it a toy. They call it a sweetheart. His captain tells him to leave it in the tent and carry a real weapon. George carries it anyway. Because before this war, he wasn't just some guy who liked guns. He was a competitive marksman. The kind of person who can make tiny groups on paper at long distance and knows exactly what his breathing is doing to the rifle. And that matters, because in the jungle, the difference between life and death is often one tiny mistake, one movement, one silhouette, 1 second too long in the open. By late January 1943, the battalion commander has had enough. The snipers near Point Cruz are bleeding his unit, and he needs someone who can do more than spray bullets into leaves. He calls George in and basically asks the question everyone's been avoiding. Can that civilian rifle actually hit what it's supposed to hit? George doesn't give a speech. He doesn't brag. He gives credentials calmly, like it's a job interview. Championships, long-range group sizes. Proof that he can place a bullet where he intends to place it. The commander gives him a deadline. Show me by morning. So before dawn, George moves alone into the ruins of a Japanese bunker his unit captured a few days earlier. No spotter, no radio. Just his rifle, water, and enough ammunition to stay out there. The position looks over the grove where intelligence says the snipers have been operating. Huge banyan and palm trees, branches layered like staircases, shadows piled on shadows. Some of these trees are so tall that a shooter can climb up before sunrise and vanish into the canopy all day. George settles in and does the unsexy part of shooting, waiting. If you've never hunted or never watched someone who's genuinely good at this, it's easy to underestimate what watching means. He's not staring randomly. He's scanning in a pattern, left to right, top to bottom. Then again, slower. He's looking for movement that doesn't match the jungle's rhythm. Birds move differently than men. Leaves shake differently than weight shifting on a branch. At 9:17 a.m., he catches it. A small branch shifts when there's no wind. Then it happens again. And then, finally, the shape appears. Dark clothing and a fork of branches, positioned to watch an American trail. Here's the first real moment of tension. George knows that if he fires and misses, he's not just wasting a shot. He's announcing his location to people who live for return fire. And he's doing it with a bolt-action rifle. No quick burst, no easy correction. One clean shot matters. He makes a tiny adjustment for wind and squeezes. The rifle cracks. The dark shape jerks, loses balance, and drops out of the canopy. First shot. First kill. And immediately, George does the part that separates good shooters from lucky shooters. He doesn't relax. He works the bolt, chambers another round, and keeps his scope on the trees. Because Japanese snipers often worked in pairs, one shooter, one observer. If he just took the shooter, the second man is somewhere nearby, and the second man now knows a duel has started. George scans again, methodical and slow. His scope isn't high power, it forces patience. Every tree is a puzzle with 1,000 wrong answers. But at 9:43, he finds movement in a different tree, lower. A soldier sliding down the trunk, retreating after hearing the shot. George tracks the movement, fires again, and the second sniper falls. 2 shots, 2 hits. If you're one of the men in that battalion, imagine what that feels like. For days, you've been losing people to invisible fire. And now, from a half-ruined bunker, you hear 2 sharp reports, and then nothing. Not chaos, not a firefight, just silence. It's like someone turned down the volume on the fear. But the jungle doesn't let you stay confident for long. Later, a bullet slams into sandbags near George, close enough to spray dirt and make the message clear. They found the area he's operating from. The smart move after being targeted isn't to pop up and search faster. It's to freeze, let time pass, and then look for the mistake the other shooter makes. George waits, then begins scanning the direction the shot came from. He knows basic sniper doctrine: shoot and move. But he also knows the reality of thick jungle. Move might mean shifting to a different branch, not relocating 100 yards. At 11:38, he finds the third sniper, still in the same tree, just repositioned. That's the mistake. George takes the shot, and the third threat drops. By noon, he's stacked multiple confirmed kills. The ridicule back at headquarters dies fast. Men who mock the rifle now want to watch. George refuses. Spectators draw attention, and attention draws bullets. Now, the enemy adapts. After several snipers fall, the remaining shooters stop moving in daylight. The grove goes still. George spends hours scanning and seeing nothing. That's its own kind of pressure. The feeling that you're being watched by someone who has decided to become a statue. The next morning brings rain, hard tropical rain that turns everything into blur and noise. And rain is a curtain. It hides climbing. It masks small movements. When the weather breaks, George spots another sniper who used the storm to get into position. This time, the range is longer, as if the enemy is testing how far his mail-order rifle can reach. George adjusts, fires, and the sniper drops. Then, something happens that tells you the Japanese are taking him seriously. Mortars begin landing around his position. The shots aren't random. They're walking in, 40 yards short, then 20. The next salvo will hit. George grabs the rifle and runs. Seconds later, the bunker he used is shattered by explosions. He relocates, finds another angle, and continues the hunt. Over the next hours, he adds more kills, but each one comes with a price. Every shot increases the chance the enemy can triangulate him. Every success makes the survivors smarter. By now, this isn't sniping as a detached skill. It's a chess match played with nerves. On the third day, George changes the biggest variable he can control: his position. He doesn't go back to the obvious spots. He chooses a new hide with elevation and cover, rocks that give him a different view into the grove. And soon he sees a target in a palm tree that feels too convenient, too low, too exposed from his angle. It looks like an easy shot. It's exactly why he doesn't take it. Instead, he scans wider, assuming it's bait. If it's bait, the real shooter will be positioned to punish anyone who fires at it. George searches every likely tree and finally finds the true threat. High in a banyan, concealed, watching the place George used to operate from. Now George has a problem. If he shoots the hidden sniper first, the sound reveals his location and the enemy may vanish before he can cycle the bolt. So he flips the trap, he shoots the bait. The hidden sniper reacts, movement, a shift, a turn toward the sound, and in that split second, George takes the second shot. 2 shots, 2 threats removed. Then, machine gun fire rakes the rocks he was just on. George moves again. At this point, the grove has been transformed. The snipers who were terrorizing supply routes are being dismantled one by one. The battalion can breathe. But George isn't finished yet, because the last surviving shooters aren't the careless ones. They're the ones who learned. One of the final opponents changes tactics completely. Instead of staying high in a tree, he goes to the ground. He crawls through vines and ferns, using the jungle floor to approach the last known position. He's not trying to outshoot George at range. He's trying to get close enough that the duel becomes impossible to win. George, half submerged in a water-filled crater, watches the slow movement through gaps in vegetation. The angle is bad. The rim blocks his view. If he rises too high, he exposes himself. So he does the hardest thing. He waits. When the enemy finally shifts position and attention, George takes the moment, rises just enough to see the shot, and ends the threat. And with that, the nightmare that killed 14 men in 72 hours collapses. Not because a battalion stormed the grove, not because artillery leveled the trees, because one trained marksman refused to accept, "We can't." But the story doesn't end with the last sniper gone. That's the clean ending, the satisfying ending. Real life doesn't always give you that. After George fires, he hears voices, multiple men moving in, not snipers, infantry, a patrol sent to recover bodies and find what's been hunting them. George drops back into concealment, but tracks in mud betray him. The patrol closes in. There's a brief fight to break away. Fast decisions, limited ammunition, no room for hero posing. George slips out, cuts through cover, and makes it back toward American lines alive. And when he reports in, the question isn't, "Why did you carry that rifle anymore?" The question is, "Can you teach this?" Because the US Army at that time didn't treat sniping as a polished official specialty. It was more like a skill that existed in pockets. Rifle teams, expert marksmen, hunters, competitors, people who could shoot, but weren't organized for stealth, observation, and precision under pressure. George's commanders see a gap, and they decide to fill it. So George gathers a group of strong shooters and starts building something simple and practical. 2-man teams, 1 shooter, 1 spotter. The shooter focuses on the shot. The spotter does the boring but vital work, scanning with binoculars, calling out range and wind, and watching for danger while the shooter is glued to a scope. They learn to rotate roles so one person doesn't become the single point of failure. They practice finding targets that are partly hidden. They practice firing from awkward positions, kneeling in mud, bracing on roots, shooting through tiny gaps without exposing a silhouette. They drill communication, short, clear calls, no chatter. They drill relocation. After a shot, you shift, even if it's only 10 yards, because 10 yards can be the difference between being guessed and being found. And they drill patience, because in the jungle, impatience is basically a flare. And then they go do it for real. The result is the part commanders love. Operations with fewer surprises, fewer sudden losses, more confidence moving through terrain that used to feel cursed. It's not magic, it's simply taking a deadly enemy advantage, concealment and patience, and meeting it with the same tools. John George doesn't stay on Guadalcanal forever. He later becomes part of Merrill's Marauders, Unit Galahad, an American long-range penetration force in Burma. If Guadalcanal is miserable, Burma is miserable with a stopwatch. Long marches, heavy loads, sickness, and constant pressure. The fighting there often happens at close range, where visibility is measured in yards, not football fields. Precision shots still matter, but the environment forces a different rhythm. Move, ambush, disappear, repeat. George brings the same mindset with him. He's not chasing glory shots. He's looking for moments where one accurate round can save a patrol from getting pinned down, or can remove a key threat without starting a long firefight. He learns to fire once and move, because the sound of a distinctive rifle can paint a target on your position. He learns that sometimes the smartest shot is the one you don't take, because it would trap you in place. After the war, he doesn't become a loud public hero. He writes carefully. He records what worked and what didn't in jungle warfare, and he publishes those lessons in a book that becomes famous among soldiers, historians, and serious shooters. Shots fired in anger. It isn't written like a Hollywood script. It reads like someone who wants you to survive. And that's why this Point Cruz story sticks. Because it's not about being fearless, it's about being controlled. It's about doing the calm thing when panic would be easier. It's about noticing when a target is too easy and asking what you're missing. It's about the awkward truth that in war, technology matters, but so does the human behind it, the discipline, the patience, the training that doesn't show up in a highlight reel. One more detail makes this story hit harder. The rifle itself wasn't some secret prototype. The Winchester Model 70 was a civilian sporting rifle, and in early World War II, the U.S. Army was still figuring out what a sniper rifle even meant. Sometimes that meant purpose-built gear. Other times, it meant borrowing accuracy wherever you could find it and trusting the person behind it. Point Cruz is a snapshot of that transition. A unit has a lethal problem. Standard solutions fail. A single marksman using a non-standard tool applies discipline and observation to break the pattern. Years later, sniping becomes formalized. Schools, doctrine, specialized rifles, and teams built around the same fundamentals George used: patience, concealment, and controlled shooting. And the funny thing is, if you saw his rifle in a display case today, you'd probably walk right past it because it looks ordinary. That's the point. Ordinary-looking tools in extraordinary hands can rewrite outcomes. On Guadalcanal, that ordinary rifle bought time, confidence, and lives back. So if you're still with me, here's the final question. How many battles are decided not by the biggest weapon, but by the quiet person who refuses to miss? If you want more stories like this, tight, human, and overlooked, hit subscribe. And in the comments, type one word: Cruz. Because the next one is even stranger. A battlefield where the most dangerous enemy isn't the one shooting. It's the one pretending not to.